Hello and welcome to Behind the Bands, the show where we give you a closer look at the local artists of the surrounding area.
We're your hosts, Lydia Carlson
and Austin Prince.
And today we're getting to know Andrew Pommert, a solo artist and elementary school music instructor. Andrew is a family man born and raised in the Joplin community.
He would describe his music as having a coffee house sound. He likes to play covers of jazz and classical music.
We're going to start off the show by listening to his cover of Andantino in G, originally written by Ferdinand Sohr. We have Andrew Pommert here to talk about his music. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we just listened to your rendition of Andantino in G. Classical piece. You don't usually think of guitar when you think of classical music. What made you choose the song to play?
Well, you know, when I was younger, I used to listen to the guitar, and one of the sounds that captured me was classical guitar music. Of course, the guitar can be played in lots of different ways. We see it in rock bands, we see it in jazz music, we see it in different styles. But classical guitar is unique because it's a solo instrument. It's a time to play just by yourself. And I love classical music because it has just a little bit different sound than what you might normally hear like on the radio or other places.
Yeah. And you're a Missouri Southern alum, right?
That's right. So I graduated in 2012 with a music degree from here. So yeah.
So you were able to take that further, and then you teach classes as well, other classes?
That's right. So currently I'm a public school teacher at Soaring Heights Elementary School. I teach elementary school students. Soaring Heights Elementary is in the Duquesne, Dunaway kind of part of Joplin. So I've been there 2 years. This is my second year to be there. but I previously taught in Lamar for 9 years elementary music as well. So I've done private one-on-one guitar teaching. I did that for several years. I don't currently do that, but I did that for a while. Previous teaching public school. I've taught class guitar for adults at Franklin Technology Center in town. So I've done a variety of things as far as teaching music. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah.
Now, we know you can play guitar, but do you play like any other types of instruments? And well, what made you choose guitar?
Yeah, so I do play piano, and of course I sang. You know, we can hear that on the songs that I did today. So I do play piano. I accompany my students at school. I don't perform live piano, but I do play piano. I chose guitar primarily because it's the instrument that I love the most.
Well, we're going to take a short break to listen to another song from Andrew titled Song, originally written by Jacola.
Now, you are an elementary music instructor at Soaring Heights Elementary. How do you balance teaching with your own musical endeavors?
Well, you use that word balance. It is kind of tricky to balance kind of what I do personally on the side, because I do play at restaurants and I'll play locally like at farmers markets, and I do have my full-time job at Soaring Heights. So I do try to balance those, every day, every week. I would say I just, what's a good word? I keep it as a priority in my life to stay as a good guitarist, and so I practice a lot.
Well, we heard that you got a grant. Could you possibly tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the important things for me as a teacher, especially at Soaring Heights, is I want all students to have instruments in their hands. I have instruments in my hands. I get to play them, but a lot of times students at school, they don't get to have their own instrument. And so last year when I came on to Soaring Heights as a teacher, we didn't have a lot of instruments in the classroom. And so I wrote a grant from the Joplin Schools Foundation and just requested money for every fourth grade student to have a ukulele. So I got awarded, I think it was $1,300 to get every student in fourth grade or per class, a set of classroom instruments. So because I wanted them to be able to play ukulele. And ukulele is a really good instrument. Guitar is more difficult for younger students to play, but ukulele is great because you can have a nice sound just by playing one note at a time, whereas guitar is a little bit more tricky. You have to play several notes to make a good sound. So I wanted each student at Soaring Heights in a class to have a ukulele in their hands to play.
And ukuleles are small, so they can fit fit them in their hands.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that makes ukulele a good instrument for children. It fits their body size.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to a guitar. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and having like your own instrument really just gives you a more motivation and more of a sense of like almost like accomplishment just because you own it. Like this is mine, and I want to make it sound. I want to make good music with it.
Absolutely, and that's an important part for me as a teacher, which is why I wrote the grant for ukuleles, and I love that instrument because kind of like you were saying, Austin. Ukulele is an instrument that a child can learn fairly quickly, and it motivates them to play more music. You know, I don't want any child to have an instrument and feel like, oh man, I can't do this. And so that's an important part of me, especially in teaching. So is that motivation.
Yeah.
Speaking of being motivated, do you have any future goals with all of your music that you're currently doing, or any future projects or current projects?
I'm always just working on new material. So about every 2 or 3 months, I'm adding a new classical guitar piece, kind of trading it out, putting a new song in, kind of my repertoire. I'll play at different places. That's kind of, I guess that's kind of my aspiration as a guitar player, is to just become better all the time. Mm-hmm. And I just love what I do locally in the area. I just want to keep playing locally at restaurants or events. So yeah.
So we know that you're a big jazz classical guy. But what other types of music inspires you, and what certain musicians inspire you?
For sure, yeah. So a lot of the music that I play, like at a coffee house or a restaurant, is jazz and classical. That's just kind of my sound. But I do listen to a lot of bluegrass music.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't play a lot of bluegrass music. In fact, I was doing the dishes a couple nights ago. I was listening to some Allison Krauss Union Station. Love that band. They're a bluegrass band. So I was listening to some blues, some Keb Mo. So I do listen to some alternative rock. Keb Mo is a alternative rock blues musician. So I like listening to him. I don't listen to anything like really like grungy or heavy, loud. But I do like those musicians. That's what I'm listening to currently right now. Keb Mo and Allison Krauss Union Station. And there's a lady I kind of stumbled upon her reading a classical music magazine. Her name's Alexandra Whittingham, and she plays classical guitar. I like listening to her too. But that's still kind of in the genre that I play. But
yeah, the bluegrass is a huge surprise. Like, I love playing bluegrass.
Yeah.
I used to play with my great grandpa all the time.
Yeah.
I was actually playing some bluegrass last night to rizz up a girl.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, so I don't play bluegrass anywhere, but I do like to listen to it.
Oh yeah, it's so much fun to play.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be right back with some more from Andrew. But first, let's check out his next song. This is a cover of East of the Sun, previously recorded by numerous artists, and has gained the reputation as a jazz standard. Let's take a listen.
Forever and a day. Our love will not die, we'll keep it that way. Up among the stars we'll find a harmony of life to love it to. East of the sun, west of the moon, dear. East of the sun and west of the moon. Well, just you and I, forever and a day. Our love will not die, we'll keep it that way. Up among the stars we'll find a harmony of life to love it to. East of the sun, west of the moon, dear. East of the sun and west of the moon. East of the sun and west of the moon.
That was East of the Sun. We hope you enjoyed it. We're back with Andrew.
Now, that song has quite the story behind it, with many well-known artists contributing to its success. Could you tell us about this song and why you chose to play it?
Well, I like the song just simply because it was a jazz standard, and I do listen to a lot of jazz. I first heard this song by my favorite jazz artist. Her name is Diana Krall. She's a Grammy Award-winning piano jazz player. She's Canadian. And I heard her listen to it. I heard her play it on an album, fell in love with it. It's an old jazz standard. It goes back to the 30s. And I love that tagline in there. It's a love song. East of the sun, west of the moon. You know, it's just a good, I just loved it for the hook, and it's a jazz standard, and it just fit well with what I do, you know, when I play locally. So I actually do a little bit different version of it. She plays it a little differently. But I just fell in love with it listening to her do it. So
Yeah, it's very good with your repertoire.
yeah, it does. And like you said earlier, or I think maybe you said, lots of people have done. This is a jazz standard. Many people have done this song over the decades now. So
Yeah, that's the cool thing though about music is anyone can play it and put a little bit of a different taste to it. It's the same song, but it's just a completely different vibe.
For sure.
Like even some of my favorite artists have covers that they have done, and it's just like, this is way better than the original one.
yeah, absolutely. In fact, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll listen to a song, say by Diana Krall, but I'll listen to the artist, and then I'll try to see how does that fit with me, because of course, like when you listen to an artist, they might be with a band or have a different sound. Or Diana Krall, she's playing on the piano, I'm playing it on the guitar, and so you have to listen to it. I usually just absorb it for a while, take it in. And what I do a lot of is arranging music. I don't really write new music. I've done a little bit of that, but that's not really that's not really what I do. And so I'll listen to the song for a while. I'll think about how it matches with my voice, a certain song key, and then how it might fit on the guitar. And sometimes a song it has to sound a little bit different on the guitar than it can on a piano or another instrument. That's called transcribing the song.
Well, whenever you write songs, do you ever take pieces from other songs to like implement them into your own, or is it all pretty original? Like any licks or anything?
You know, here's what I would say. I listen to the song, and I'll probably do about 80% of what the original song sounds like, and then about 20% is kind of my own stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of take it and make it my own a little bit, so it's not like 100% like, oh, that's the exact copy, because that's just not what I do. I don't, I don't try to make an exact copy of what I'm listening to. I'll listen to it, and then I'll try to arrange it. So it's about 80% what the song is, and then about 20% Andrew Pommert. So
Nice.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
As a musician, what would you say is the most difficult part of the process, and well, what is the most rewarding part of it as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, the most difficult part of the process is, like, for example, I'll look at a new classical guitar piece, and I'll look at the page, and sometimes I feel overwhelmed. In fact, I'm looking at a new song right now, and I'll start working on it. I'll be working on it at home, and I just feel like I'm not going to get this piece. And I've gone through that so many times as I've gotten older, as I've developed as a musician. I'll look at the page, and I'll feel like I'm just not going to attain this. And And someone once said to me, you have to put a piece on low heat. And what they were talking about was, like you have a gas burner, like if you're cooking something on low heat, you can't cook something real hot. And that's how songs are. You have to sit there and just be patient. And I think that's the one thing I've had to learn over the years. And that's the most difficult part, is you've got to be patient, especially with difficult pieces. You've got to sit there, you've got to practice it, you've got to make the mistakes, and then you've just got to take a breath, take a step back, and then just sometimes I just have to walk away from a song. I'll work on it for a while, and I'm like, I don't feel like I'm making any progress, and I'll come back to it in 3 days, keep working on it. So you've just got to be persistent. You just got to keep working on it. There's a book I read or listened to a while back, and it talked about just staying persistent. I can't remember what it was. It was by Angela Duckworth. Oh, it was called Grit. It was just simply called Grit, and that was a good book to just think through, like, you've got to have grit to take your music to the next level, to take your musicianship to the next level. You've got to have grit and just stay on a piece. And it usually takes me about 2 or 3 months to play something. Most of the time, people get discouraged, and they just kind of quit. With anything that's difficult. Yeah. But you just got to push through. So that's difficult. The most rewarding part is being able to accomplish it, on the other side, for sure. And so when I have a piece down and I'm able to have it in my hands, I was talking to my daughter, Diana, about this. She was asking me about a song because I practice at the house all the time. And she's like, Dad, you're working on a new piece. I was like, yeah, I'm working on it. And I said, it's going to take me about a month or two to just play it. But it'll take me probably about till Christmas to really make it sound like it's polished and like it's just coming off my hands. Yeah. It just takes a while to just develop in your hands. So it's rewarding to finally be able to play the piece like you want it. I don't always play exactly what the piece is. I play probably 80, 90%, but then about 10 to 15, maybe 20% sometimes is my own stuff. I'll just add a chord here, I'll add something there. So,
yeah. Oh yeah, that's the beauty of covers.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to take a quick break to listen to Andrew's next song, Rain Dance, a cover originally played by Jacola. Stay with us. And we're back with Andrew.
Now, could you tell us a little bit about Rain Dance and why you like that song so much?
Yeah, so I, as we've been talking, like we talked earlier, I'm always looking for new pieces to put in kind of like what I call my gig list or my set list, my repertoire. And about a year or two ago, I wanted to play some contemporary classical guitar pieces. And I stumbled upon a composer. His name's Arto Jacola. He's written it in such a way that he's trying to make rain sound happen on the guitar itself. It's what we call maybe like a tone poem, where you're hearing rain happen by the notes sounding or happening in the piece. And I like the song. So.
All right, nice. It was a very beautiful song to listen
Oh,
to.
thank you. Appreciate that.
Do you have any upcoming projects or performances that you're going to be doing in the next little bit?
Yeah, for sure. I regularly play at a restaurant called Finn's Restaurant. It's a great restaurant. Everybody should try it. It's on kind of the south end of Joplin, and so I play there twice a month. And then I play locally also at the Empire Market, which is downtown Joplin Empire Market. Sometimes I'll play at Webb City Farmers Market. I do have like a private gig. I call any place I play, I call a gig. But I have a gig at the Scottish Rite Cathedral. It's in a couple weeks, and it's for the Area Agency on Aging. So it's like a fundraiser for that nonprofit Area Agency on Aging. So I'm going to play my music there for them.
That's
so
awesome.
those are some upcoming places that I'm going to play.
Yeah.
Now, we heard you're a little bit old school, so how can people get in contact with you and your music, and how can they book you for a gig?
Yeah, that's a great question. I am a little bit old school. I don't really get on Facebook very much, and I don't have any of my songs on iTunes or anything like that. The best way to reach me is probably to reach out through my email address, which is Pommert. That's APOMMERT @gmail.com. So you can email me.
Nice. Well, Andrew, thanks so much for being here. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
And that wraps up this episode of Behind the Bands. Join us next time when we interview another artist from the surrounding area.
If you'd like to feature your music on our show, all you have to do is contact us on the KGCS Facebook page.
Once again, we're your hosts, Lydia Carlson
and Austin Prince.
And we're going to end this episode with one more song. This is Andrew's cover of The Way You Look Tonight, made famous by Frank Sinatra. Have a good night.
See ya.
Well, someday when I'm awfully low, when the world is cold, I will feel a glow just thinking of you and the way you look tonight. You're lovely with your smile so warm and your cheeks so soft. There is nothing for me but to love you and the way you look tonight. Well, someday when I'm awfully low, when the world is cold, I will feel a glow just thinking of you and the way you look tonight. You're lovely with your smile so warm and your cheeks so soft. There is nothing for me but